Hello and welcome to the Podcast Cafe. This is Future Skills of the Industry 4.0. My name is Luazi Kamangaile, and on the latest episode today of our podcast, we had the pleasure of interviewing a remarkable personality in the world of fleet management. His name is Jonathan Mphake, and this isn't just any professional we're talking about here. He's an award-winning fleet manager with a story that's as inspiring as it is educational. Take a listen.
How long have you been a fleet manager?
So I think from day one, because in different companies it's called by different names. So there's an aspect of it. If you're a logistics manager, you're a warehouse manager, you're a transport manager, fleet management is part of it. It really goes in hand and it becomes part of it. So it started off then, very first job. I'd never forget that. So I met Stephen Herbst. Stephen Herbst is the group marketing director for Value Logistics. But it was first awards that looked at fleet managers. What happened is, like the lady you interviewed from Unitrans that won the driver award.
Yes.
There was always that. Catherine had I really saw the bag she had. That was from Highway Heroes. So there's recognition for drivers, and this one was more.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Then with Nashani, I kept on saying to her, after the first awards, absolutely fantastic. You got the awards going. Over 100 fleet managers applied for the awards. We had a top 10. I won the very first one for the best fleet manager in the country. And this year I was also a finalist as well. And I think 2003. Before that, I had been 4 years at home after passing matric. And I was selling sweets, I was selling perfumes, I was just hustling.
Are you serious?
Hustling, because I would have finished my degree very early if we had money at home. But after matric, my sister was still in school, my dad was a truck driver, which is one of the big passions of why, the big why really. And, so I'm there, I meet Stephen, very welcoming. I meet Stephen Goshok, the owner, founder of Value, at that same party. And ever since then, this guy hasn't forgotten me. He struggles, the name, but he hasn't forgotten me. And a year later, Stephen says, because he knew my dad was like a messenger, was really older at that time. And, there was not a lot of stuff and delivering parcels for him. And my dad said, hey, my son is not working. I mean, he's doing okay, but he's not working. It's like, hey, bring this guy along. Interesting. I don't know if we're going to put it in. There's not enough time. There's so much interesting story about that. I was at home hustling, selling perfumes. I was selling replica perfumes. And I would leave town, come back to the township, sell sweets for the kids when they get out of school, and chappies and all of these things. And I was like, I want to do something, just basics of computer. I phoned DJ Fresh on YFM, 10 minutes, 1 minute, 10 questions. Actually won it twice. Fresh was like, hey, listen. There needs to be and thank God the second time there was that gap. But it's like, hey, we are stopping you. No more. No more. You're going to be
My man.
So I won it. I won the 10,000 Rand, went to the old Academy of Learning. Did basic computers. 2003. So here's how wonderful it is. Meet Stephen after I had done the course. Stephen just says, come to, I have a junior position. Just come. We're not finding people. People are not willing to take this junior position. We've advertised, your dad said you're looking for work. Go there. And day one, so I walk in and the guy said, okay, here's a computer. Start tracking the trucks, where they're going. Jump in. That Academy of Learning basic, which Academy of Learning is dissed as, the bottom, that's even in Boxburg, the bottom of, it's just nothing. That helped me, so I'm navigating, I'm looking, I'm writing it down, because that control room was about where the vehicles, are they at risk, are they where they're supposed to be? Do that, and the lady who heads it, she's like, geez, you're a natural, you got this. We're moving you to Stephen's division. That one will be tracking the vehicle, but from a customer service perspective. Then it matches. And that's how the career started, really. Like, that understanding of customer relations as well as transport. That's when now the thing got birthed. And while coming back to the story, so day 2 I walk in, I worked with a guy, we're tracking the vehicles, we're phoning the drivers, have you delivered, what's happening, do you have delays? And this guy comes back, I remember this first thing, he comes back, dreadlocks, a nice guy, he says, you are too young to be tracking me. And why are you calling me? What's happening here? And I learned a valuable lesson. And it's one of the ethos that I believe in. If we engage with the drivers, we need to tell them the why. Why we are tracking, why we are doing this. And ever since then, so it was like a grow-up moment. The guy who was my supervisor said, hey, you must answer him. So I answered him, hey, dude, listen, this is why, this is what we're happening. I'm opening the path. I've got the numbers to Builder's Warehouse to get you to be offloaded, to do your job. It's like, So he was the main shop steward intimidation guy. Mm-hmm. So when I answered him, he's like, okay. And then favor ever since. So it's a passion, it's deep. But I think what makes me unique and fortunate is that when you look at fleet management, people look at it in isolation and they think transport. The logistics or supply chain is everything together, including procurement. So supply chain management is your warehousing, your distribution, your procurement, your orchestration of all the legs that connect the supply chain. Mm-hmm. So you think about, let's say, pick and pay supply chain. I need to talk to the farmers, the growers, all of these people. They farm, right temperature, right refrigeration, right type of truck. They take it to market, it gets sold to market, or it's going directly to pick and pay. There's refrigeration, there's from initiator to the main warehouse to the DC. This guy has to break the stock, send it to the different pick and pays, all of that. So there's a procurement leg. Who do we buy from? How do we do those standards? There's a leg of what I love about supply chain management. Every subset has a portion. There's a lead time. If you're talking about perishables, you don't want your tomatoes at Woolworths looking like they've been there for 160 days. Mm-hmm. I have to harvest it, keep it in the right temperature, transship it, make sure there's no double handling million, mm-hmm. package it for retail, get to the right Woolworths, be sold from there, and all the other pallets and plastics and all the other things recycle back. There's an ESG component. All of that supply chain management, the science of supply chain management is knowing what happens at each segment. Oh. You take it back even more, then you've got another problem. Let's say you're doing a different industry, and you must stop me. I love this stuff. I'll talk about everything.
No.
So you're doing a different industry. We mentioned the ports. Here's the problem now if you're a supplier. I know when the ship is leaving the Suez Canal. Mm-hmm. The ship is supposed to be here in 20 days. When he gets to Richards Bay, he needs to offload. When he gets offload, I must break the stock. When I break the stock, I must put it in smaller consignments. It's not going to Durban. It's going to Gauteng, it's going to Limpopo, it's going to different places. Mm-hmm. All of those lead times, there's a customer, there's an end-use customer. Mm-hmm. There's suppliers, there's transporters, there's pickers, there's packers, there's stock, there's imports. So all of that. And supply chain management says that the key word about supply chain management is end-to-end. You'll hear any supply chain person talk about end-to-end. How do I measure end-to-end? I know, hence the word chain. I know what part of the chain is this and how it connects, so I can give feedback to my customer. And we'll talk about it. I won 2 logistics awards for my previous company. And because I come from the supply chain holistic and the transport holistic. So I play in both fields. So it's wonderful. I love it because it makes you think. And I always think about orchestration. And a lot of people say, what is orchestration? And orchestration in supply chain management means this terminology called the supply chain control tower. Mm-hmm. And think about the airport. When you're at the airport, there's a tower. This tower says, plane number FA 286 from Durban, you are landing in runway number 6. But you are landing at 18 minutes and 23 seconds. You need to be on the runway, you need to have driven, you need to have stopped here. Mm-hmm. That's orchestration. The tower has departure arrival times. That's orchestration. Who's the end use customer? It's the guy here at the bottom who needs his coffee. Ivory Coast, South Africa, KZN, Durban, packed, come back here, break, smaller bucky, deliver at 155 West Street. I know where I'm going. And that's the part of orchestration. So I hope I'm not overwhelming you, but it's it's all, me and her, when we talk, people are like,
We'll keep you guys.
what on earth?
It's really difficult for me to keep quiet.
Yeah, like, what on earth are you guys talking about?
Even
This
so
is scary, man. No, so yeah, man. So
Wow,
but tell me when you want to start, and we can.
Oh no, we've been started.
Oh no.
I've been recording because
No, man.
with people like you, I speak to a lot of people, and people like you know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And it's
Maybe we can start it. Maybe
Yeah.
we do a synopsis of history. I
Of
don't know.
course. Right. So my first, basically, thank you for that introduction. Well, that's like the best introduction I've actually had.
You need a CV.
People want to know who this is.
Maybe if I synopsize it,
Mm-hmm.
you'll edit it in different.
Perfect.
So-
Perfect. Tell me who Jonathan is, though, in terms of, I'm looking at you now speak about what you know well, and I'm also looking at the Jonathan that after school, there's 4 years that you're not doing much in the professional career space that you're in now. I think a lot happened there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that shaped the fleet manager now.
Yeah.
Maybe just take me through that. I want that to be the introduction that I can ask about.
Okay, brilliant. So, growing up on the East Rand, father was a truck driver for 30 plus years. My mom was a nurse, but she stopped being a nurse when I got born, I think, or somewhere around that period. And so I'm looking at my dad being the stereotypical head of the home, the breadwinner. We're living in the township. It's not milk and honey, but we are alive. We have the nuclear family, which is an advantage to all my colleagues and all my schoolmates and people in the township. Then, it culminates into, obviously there's the boring stuff, the primary, high school, blah, blah, blah. But, that 4 years where I'm not working. So what happened is, I didn't quite know about NSFAS. I didn't know about, getting bursaries and stuff. And I'd seen my dad work so hard to try to get me through normal school. Started school in the township, moved to Leondale Primary, found myself in Dinwiddie High or in Alberton, passed matric. And I'm like, my sister is still in high school. My dad is not earning a great salary. He's a truck driver. He's driving all over the place. Sometimes we don't see him, but we know that he's safe. And, he's there. So now I start this journey to say, you know what? I need to have initiative. One of the things that is fundamental that I absolutely believe in is, irrespective of it seems like there is no option, you can make an option for yourself by having the right attitude and initiative. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do something. Saw an ad about replica perfumes in Boksburg. I had gone to Academy of Learning for basic computers, went and got the set, got money together, had a friend help me, and I was selling perfume. And the trick where customer relations, I think, is birthed in there. Understanding supply chain management is birthed in there. I need to be in Boksburg at a certain time, in a certain day, to collect my stock. When I dispense and finish my stock, that's supply chain management, inventory management. And so you see how all of this warehousing and distribution, it's all together. So I understand. And then the trick I did, I would walk around Alberton in a semi-formal. So that when I present, if I meet Charnay and I say, ma'am, here's a perfume, it's a replica, it's an oil-based replica of, Giorgio Armani or CR7 or whatever the case might be. I have my testers, I'm looking presentable. Yes, I'm on the street. Why am I doing that? There's a unique differentiator from just some guy running up to you and just wanting you to sell something. In every major CBD, everyone is trying to sell you something. So those are the lessons I'm learning. okay, learning about money, not to consume all the money that comes in. I need to replenish and get stock. I'm learning that. And all of that, and you're quite right, culminated in sort of basic understandings that would be defined later on as part of subsets of business management, supply chain management, and really, correlates it and brings it into one. So, like I said, timing again. In transport, you'll hear the term on time delivered in full. Some people will say just in time, some people will say OTD. On time delivered in full is I've arrived in Sandton, I've delivered my 1 pallet of coffee beans. I told the customer I'm coming at 12 o'clock. I am there at 12 o'clock. If there is any problem, I tell the customer of any impediment and I deliver on time. In full is the customer is satisfied and he's got his consignment. So I'm laying those type of mentalities. I need to move from Alberton, get home to Vosloorus, sell sweets and chips and whatever. My day is complete. I need to make sure I get something for food, for the home. I'm already taking responsibility, taking initiative. So there's a lot of learnings that now came across. I don't think the 4 years was wasted. I believed it was wasted for a long time. But I think those 4 years actually built a lot of steel and maturity that was quick. As a footballer, I wanted to go to Germany, I wanted to play for AC Milan or Barcelona, my 2 favorite clubs. That didn't work out. I had to grow up quick and I had to say, you know what? I'm going to be intentional in what I do. Not just lying down and saying I'm a victim. Victimology has actually become fashionable in our people. I saw a title like that from Jordan Peterson yesterday and I said, that is exactly what is happening. Victimology is now fashionable. I had no choice to accept victimology and expect a handout. I had to do something. So it drives into that and that whole story of I'm looking for work, I'm talking to my dad. My dad said, hey, Stephen, at work, the value logistics guy says, there might be something. And I meet Stephen at a Christmas party that Value had organized for their drivers. I see the interaction, the managers are interacting with the people. And I meet Stephen and Stephen says, hey, I'll call you someday. So I'm like, oh, that's fine. I've sent at this time, my routine would be send almost minimum 20 CVs, make about 20, 30 calls, show up at places. Hi, I'm Jonathan, I'm formal, I'm trying to be well-spoken. The English airtime is running out sometimes. And you have to replace it. What did you say? You're trying to be initiative. I'm going out, I'm trying to do something. But I meet Stephen Herbst and Stephen says, come back after, I'll talk to you. A year passes, almost to the day, Stephen phones me, says, can you be in Isando? If your English is right, you say Isando. But, if your English is wrong, from the township, it's Isando, and there's no E. But, somehow, in the township, it makes sense. So, okay, I'm going to Isando. I'm going to, walk into Valley Logistics. Here's a computer, dude. Track the trucks, make sure they deliver on time. And this was just track the trucks to make sure they're at the right place for security reasons. So I'm like, okay. I had won some money to go to Academy of Learning to understand the basics of computer. Jump on it, show dedication. And then there's a guy called Manu Padiachi. He's still there. He's almost second in command to Stephen Goshok, who's the owner and founder of Value. And he calls me aside, hey, Stephen Herbst told me, he says, wonderful news about you. You need to start. By the end of the week, they're like, you need to start. So I started, learned the basics, and I got sent back to key accounts department at Value Logistics. This is 2004. So now I'm there, and it's a combination of not just track the trucks, but make sure they deliver on time. Now it's track and trace. Now it's customer satisfaction. And Value Logistics had this thing called in-houses, where some of our clients are in our warehouses. We know they would take the stock from their warehouse, bring it to our warehouse. We would break it by consignment and delivery. And now we understand where it must go. So some of the company reps were on site. Now I started learning how to have those engagements. Very quickly, the in-house reps now knew my name. Hey, can you track this truck for me? Is my consignment delivered? I want to know what's happening. How is it scheduled? Now I'm learning that nuances of how do I appease customers, how do I give them the right feedback for them to give to their customer the correct feedback. There's always a joke in transport. You say the truck is around the corner, it hasn't left the branch. Yeah, it's traffic. It's all of those things. So you're learning to have the crucial conversations that might be difficult. Okay, we messed up, but this is. And I learned a very critical thing that even down the road, when I was contract manager at Dulux under Imperial, tell the truth. As difficult as it is, tell the truth. They have also dependencies. So great foundation. Everyone says if you survive at value, you can survive anything. Because it is a very good place to know the fundamentals of every aspect of transport.
Nazi-ke izaziso zokuphepha. Izaziso zokuphepha ezivamile zingakhumbuza abashayeli ukuthi-ke bathathe ikhefu futhi bahlale beqaphile emgaqweni. Very inspiring indeed. When you think of his first 4 years after school, this was somebody who was selling perfumes to sweets and chappies to school kids, and today he's one of the country's best fleet managers. That is the story of Jonathan Mphake. The story goes on again to part 2 in the next coming weeks. All you got to do is just keep listening to the Podcast Cafe Future Skills on Spotify. For myself, Loazi Kamangaile. It's till next time.